Tonight, we do not tell a story. We enter one, a story wrapped in ash and silence, where breath itself is treason, and survival is a rebellion whispered through clenched teeth. You don't know it yet, but today will leave an echo. A ripple that history won't remember, but the bones in the ground do. Long after your body crumbles into earth, they'll whisper in the wind, this one lived when the world was dying. Now, close your eyes. The air thickens. Light turns the color of old parchment. The wind carries the scent of firewood. And something older. Rot, damp wool, a mother's panic soaked into stone, lavender oil clinging to skin that's already cooling. You wake up in 1347, a village without a name, a dot on no surviving map. But real, so real. You're lying on a mattress stuffed with straw and splinters. The blanket draped over you still smells like someone else, because it was hers, the woman from 2 doors down. She died 3 nights ago. They say her soul left with the 4th toll. And as you sit up, throat dry, stomach empty, you remember the bells. 1, 2, 3, 4, not the call to prayer. That 4th toll means one thing. Death has entered. The day begins. You are not nobility, not clergy, not a knight in armor. You're the daughter of a cooper. Or the son of a washerwoman. You have no title, no sigil, but that will change. Because today, you will try to survive what most won't. Your mother is already at the hearth. A pot of something thin and grey simmers over the flame. It smells like garlic and bones. She mutters in Latin. Not words she understands. She learned them like lullabies. By repetition, by fear. But words have power. Or so you hope. The walls of your home tremble gently with wind. Your brother coughs once, then silence. You glance at him. His skin is pale, too pale. And the boils, the ones your father won't admit seeing, are now impossible to ignore. Your mother won't look. Your father says nothing. But he has already moved the hammer near the door, because you know what happens next. If he worsens, they'll come. Men with rope and nails, and they'll seal your home from the outside. Hammer you inside your own coffin. It's not murder. It's the law. Outside, the village wakes. The frost is soft, almost gentle on your bare feet. The earth is wet, clinging to your toes like hungry fingers. No one greets one another anymore. Not really. A nod, a glance, eyes darting over hands, throats, posture, looking for signs. Beatrix stands across the square. She waves. Her face is hidden behind a kerchief. Her eyes are swollen. Her baby sister died 5 days ago. The funeral was quick, the body was burned, but still, she waves. Because somehow, the bread still needs baking. The goats still need feeding. The world hasn't ended, not yet. They say it's the rats. They also say it's a punishment. For pride, for lust, for forgetting how to pray. No one knows, no one agrees, but everyone is afraid. Even the town drunk wears gloves now, stolen from the bishop's wagon. Black goat leather, too fine for a man like him. And still, no one dares challenge him. Not anymore. The friar passes, swinging incense, frankincense, myrrh, sage. The smell fights the death in the air, and loses. You stare at the smoke, and for a second, just 1 second, you wonder, what if it's already inside me? What if I'm already too late? But you swallow that thought, like stale rye bread, hard and dry and full of splinters. You are given a task, no grand quest, no shining blade, just herbs. The healer needs yarrow for fever, sage for spirits. You are to walk to the forest edge, cut what you can, and return. Easy, but nothing is easy anymore. The forest feels different, like it's watching. like the trees have begun praying too. Your steps quicken. You grip your basket tight, not because of wolves, because of what you might see. A cart, half-covered bodies, arms hanging limp, flesh purple-black with fever. They used to bury the dead. Now they burn them. There are too many, and the earth is too full. A woman passes you, barefoot, dressed in white, head shaved. She hums something, a tune from your childhood or your dreams. She doesn't speak at first, just walks past you. Then, without looking, God sees you. And somehow, you believe her. You return home with the herbs. Your hands smell like crushed leaves and fear, but your brother is gone. Not dead, not lying still, gone. Your father says nothing. Your mother stirs the pot. There's a nail in the doorframe, fresh, silver, still warm. Your brother has been taken to the pit, or the prayer house, or the space between. No one tells you which. No one will. That night, you lie on the same straw bed. But it's colder now, like something sacred has left. The fire is out. Your hands are shaking. Your breath curls in the dark. You don't cry, you can't. Water is for boiling, not weeping. This is only the first day. 15 more stand before you. 15 more you must find the strength to face. You close your eyes, and somewhere deep in the stillness, you begin to change. Not your body, not your home, not even the plague. You, long after your bones turn to dust, they will whisper, "This one lived when the world was dying." Sleep now. Tomorrow, the true test begins. Before your eyes even open, something burns. Not fire, not smoke, but rot, thick and wet. The scent of flesh forgotten by time, left too long beneath a sun that no longer shines, in mercy. It slides into your throat, clings to your ribs, settles like a curse no one asked for, but everyone inherits. You blink, slowly, stiffly, as if your eyelids have grown older overnight. It is morning, but not the kind that brings hope. This one brings silence, and steam, and the ache of waiting. You shift your head, gag. The corner where your brother once slept is empty now. No blankets, no breath, just a stain on the boards. A shadow in the shape of something once human. You slept through it, or maybe sleep protected you by forgetting. The fire is cold, long dead. Your father sits beside it, unmoving. He holds a bowl. It's already empty. He stares into it as if it might show him something, a vision, a reason, a name, but there's nothing left to see. Outside you hear your mother's voice, not speaking, not singing, chanting, low, broken, half Latin, half pleading. Domine miserere, Domine miserere. It is not a hymn. It is not even a prayer. It is a bargain, offered to any power willing to answer. You rise, your body resists, not from illness, not yet, but from a weight of being alive in a place where death never sleeps. Even stiffness is dangerous now. Every cough, every wince might be seen. And if they think you're sick, they send the men with hammers and the nails. You step outside, barefoot. The earth slaps you with cold. It crawls between your toes, thick and grey, as if the mud itself wants to climb inside your skin. The sky above is bruised. Fog coils low, like 1,000 tired spirits searching for rest. And then a sound cuts through the fog. The corpse cart. You hear it first. A wooden wheel straining against stone. A groan, a squeak, a breath held too long. Then it appears. A single donkey. A boy holding the reins. He can't be older than you. But his eyes, they have already seen too much. Too many. eyes like burnt paper. Wrinkled with memory no child should carry. He stops at your door, doesn't speak, just lifts a hand, a quiet practiced gesture, as if to ask, "This one?" Your father does not answer. Your mother turns her face to the dirt. You look away, because if you meet his eyes, he might remember your face and come back. Surprise historical fact number 4. In many plague-stricken towns, orphaned children were paid in stale bread or copper coins to drag the dead to burn pits. Some wore masks of cloth soaked in vinegar. Most wore nothing at all. You wonder if that boy dreams. You hope he dreams. But somehow you doubt it. The cart creaks back into the fog. The wheel's cry fades, but the silence it leaves behind stays. It sits on your chest like a second weight, heavier than breath. You wrap your arms around yourself, not from cold, from fear, from memory. You whisper in your mind, "I am not sick. I am not sick. You cough. Once, small, but loud enough. Beatrix is walking past with a basket of shriveled apples. She stops. Her eyes lock on yours. She doesn't blink. You try to smile. You wave. She walks faster, doesn't look back. This is what fear looks like when it wears the face of a friend. Inside, you are handed your task. Boil the rags. Burn the worst of them. A pile of cloth waits by the door, stained red, brown, grey, some soaked with sweat. Others with things you don't name aloud. They say the plague hides in cloth, that boiling it kills the sickness. No one's sure, but you do it anyway. The pot hisses and steams. You drop the rags in one by one. They dance, fold, unfold. You wonder if they scream. Not in a way you can hear, but in a language meant for ghosts. At midday, the healer comes, not a doctor. The doctors are long gone. Richer cities, safer towns. This one is a beekeeper turned herbalist turned last hope. He wears no mask, no gloves, just a crown of garlic twisted into his hood. "Keep the air bitter," he mumbles. "Sweetness invites spirits." He doesn't stay, just drops bundles of dried plants at your door. Yarrow, sage, mugwort, tells you to keep windows open, even if the cold kills. Because what rides on warm air is worse. You step outside in the afternoon, but the sun is already gone. The sky dims early now, as if even light is afraid. You walk past the chapel. Beyond it, 4 men dig, slow, deliberate, silent. They do not speak, they do not pray, the hole is wide, wider than needed for one. You do not ask who it's for. You already know. Beatrix is at the well, scrubbing her hands with ash and water. She doesn't speak when you approach, neither do you. Together, in silence, you wash your hands, not because it helps, but because it feels holy, like defiance disguised as ritual. Night falls, too soon. You sit on the floor, watching the fire struggle. Your parents do not speak. Your neighbor's home is quiet. Everyone is waiting. Waiting for the next bell. Waiting to see which window goes dark. Waiting for the knock that never knocks twice. And you are waiting for something else. For your breath to settle. For your hands to stop shaking. For someone to say, "It's going to be all right." But no one says that now. What they say is, "You're lucky to still be breathing." And you are, for now. In secret, you reach for your own hunger. It has no name here. Desire, curiosity, need, words no one speaks out loud. But the fire burns anyway, a heat behind your ribs, a tremble between your thighs. Once, in the latrine, you touched yourself, quick, afraid, guilty, and afterward you cried. Then did it again the next week. No one taught you your body could be yours. They only warned of disgrace, of devils between your legs, of the girls who opened too soon and were never closed again. But something deep inside, untouched by rules, it whispers, "You are not wicked. You are human. The moonlight is your confession booth. You step outside, wrapped in a shawl, head covered, feet bare. The steps are cold, the sky wide and angry with stars. You whisper, not prayers, not exactly, but truths no one else is allowed to hear. I don't want to marry someone who treats me like cattle. I want to leave this village. I'm scared I'll die before I ever fall in love. I want someone to touch me like I'm made of light." The wind doesn't answer, but it listens, and sometimes that's enough. You return, back into the house, back into the silence, back beside the child, under the sheet that can't keep dreams out. But something's different now, a shift, small but real, because tonight you told the truth, even if only to yourself. And that, in this world, that's a kind of power. You close your eyes, but you do not forget. You carry this night with you, like a secret, like a blade, like a seed. Tomorrow you will rise, you will braid your hair, you will sweep the floor, you will kneel and wash and fold and fetch and nod and smile and obey. But tonight you have spoken in your own language, not the one of shame, not the one of men, not the one of duty, but the one whispered in bone, the one that says, "I exist, I burn, I dream, I ache, I am mine." Long pause. And though no one may ever know it, you do. And that is enough. For now, your first task is simple. Stay alive until midday. That's it. No dreams, no daring, no faith in tomorrow. Just make it to noon, without drawing eyes, without making a sound too sharp or a step too slow. Because in times like these, being noticed is sometimes worse than being forgotten. You wake again, not because you slept, but because something deeper, some ancient instinct, yanks you back to the surface. Your eyes sting, not from tears, from smoke, and your belly. It growls like something trapped, something that stopped asking and started demanding food. What's left is more memory than meal. The bread is older than your hope, 3 days stale, hard as a roof tile, tastes like the inside of a cupboard that never fully dried. You chew slowly, like it's a ritual. Stretch the bite, swallow your pride. Water, a small tin cup, cloudy, warm, tastes like iron and time. You drink anyway, because thirst doesn't wait politely. And sometimes thirst kills faster than the plague. Outside, the frost has turned mud to stone. The village feels smaller, not because it shrunk, but because most of it is missing now. Some taken by fever, others taken by fear, and a few just gone. The blacksmith's door hangs wide open. No fire, no hammer, just a forge filled with ash and silence. The cobbler's shutters are nailed from the inside. You used to hear him hum. Now nothing. Even the pigs are silent. As if the animals have figured it out before the people did. This world no longer belongs to anyone. Today, your job is kindling. Twigs, bark, anything that burns but doesn't cost. You wander past the chapel ruins, where once incense danced through morning air. Now only wax stubs and cracked pews. Behind the chapel, you see him, old Johann, digging through a pile of robes, not his, not anyone's anymore. He sees you, grins, 2 teeth left. They burn just fine, he says, lifting a priest's cassock. The Lord won't mind, not today. You nod. That's all. Kindness costs too much now. Even a smile feels like spending. By afternoon, the well runs dry. You and Beatrix head south. 2 others follow, toward the stream, toward water that doesn't ask questions. The air smells better there, almost sweet, like a lie. You dip your pot, hands shaking. You see it, floating downstream, a bird dead. Feathers soaked like forgotten parchment. No one speaks. You drink anyway. This is survival. Swallowing poison and hoping your number isn't next. Back home, your mother brews potions made of desperation. Mugwort, onion, vinegar. She soaks cloth in it, wraps it tight around her wrists, makes you do the same. The vapors protect the blood, she whispers. You nod, because belief is the last warm thing in this house. But your arms still itch. You scratch. You hope it's the cold. Evening falls, faster now. The sun dies without ceremony. You eat what's left. Carrot tops, dried peas, no salt, no meat. Even the dogs have vanished. No one says why. You chew the peas like their punishment. There is no flavor left, only movement. Your father sits by the fire, counting onions. 1, 2, 3, enough for tomorrow, if no one dies today. But the worst hunger isn't in your stomach. It's in the eyes. The way people look at you now. Too long, too carefully, watching, measuring. Did he cough? Was that a limp? Did you see the way she touched her neck? You walk past your neighbor. She flinches. You smile. She does not. You are becoming something dangerous. Or maybe you look like someone who could be, and that's enough. You straighten your back, lift your chin. You fake the rhythm of someone well. Tall, steady, clean, but inside. Inside you whisper, what if they see it before I do? What if they know? That voice inside you is louder than the church bell ever was. You want to scream. You want to break something. You want to shout, I'm not sick. But even your silence is suspicious now. Near sunset, you return with 2 split logs. Your hands are cracked. Your breath fogs. No one greets you. No one thanks you. Your mother hums a lullaby without words. Your father stares into nothing. And in the corner, your brother's bowl still sits, untouched, waiting, like he might walk through the door, like something might. You don't dare move it. Outside, a sound, not loud, not sharp, just soft, a sob, pressed into the dirt. You peek through the shutter. It's Beatrix, digging with her bare hands, not for food, not for roots, for something she buried yesterday, $1, or her sister's. She cradles it, brushes off the mud, holds it like something still breathing. She whispers, I'll protect you this time. And something inside you aches, not from hunger, not from cold, from memory. You remember the way she used to laugh, the way apples smelled in autumn, the warmth of bread when it still rose in ovens, the softness of life, now traded for soot and silence. But you don't stay in that feeling, because grief is expensive. And you're not here to grieve, you're here to survive. Night falls like a curtain soaked in ash. You lie down again, the floor colder, the blanket thinner. You wrap your arms around your belly. Trace your ribs, one bone at a time, like counting sins. One more day, one more breath. You made it, but you know, tomorrow the hunger returns. Tomorrow the eyes will watch again. But tonight you rest. There is no room for weakness in this world, because even the gods are watching, or so they say. Today begins with bells, not the great church bell, not the one tied to the corpse cart. These are smaller, sharper, handbells ringing in rhythm, quick and clean, like warnings dressed as hymns. You step outside, and there they are, the flagellants. A procession of monks, barefoot on frozen ground, their robes threadbare, their shoulders blood-stained, whips in hand, backs raw with self-inflicted grace. They march, they chant, each step a sacrifice, each strike a plea. "We bleed," one cries, "so you may be spared." They pass your home, they never stop, but you feel their eyes, just for a moment, linger, and so you bow your head. Even if you don't believe, you bow, because in this world, ritual is armor. Inside, your mother lights a candle. The wax is old, the bowl is lard. She sprinkles rosemary across the floorboards, not for the scent, though that helps, but because someone, maybe the priest, maybe the baker, maybe the dying girl with the cracked voice, said it wards off plague. It doesn't matter who said it, only that it's said. She whispers the words, she always does. You are not just a servant, you are the offering. She makes you repeat them. You do, even though the words taste strange, like milk that's turned, or wine too long in the sun. You say them anyway, because faith isn't flavor, it's force. The chapel is half empty now, the pew's cold, the hymn's gone, but you go anyway, not to be saved, not to hear wisdom, you go to kneel, because the fear inside you, the one that sleeps in your chest and wakes in your teeth, needs somewhere to sit, somewhere old, somewhere holy. It smells of vinegar, of wax, of mold trying to pretend it isn't winning. They scrub the floors now. The vinegar stings your eyes. Is it cleaning, or is it casting out? You don't ask, you kneel, you wait. The altar is bare. No fine vestments, no golden chalice. Even the Eucharist has changed. It's not wheat now, just barley. You taste it, bitter, dry, still. You close your eyes because in that moment, with the wind howling through the cracks, you want to believe something is counting. Counting heads, counting heartbeats, counting you among the living. You are not just a servant, you are the offering. The words rise again, not from the priest, but from inside. Louder than the sermon, louder than the wind. Outside the chapel, you see her again. The woman in white, bald, barefoot, humming that same low note that never stops. She circles near the old market, drawing symbols in ash. Her fingers stained black with prayer. A child watches from a distance. You stand beside him. "What's she doing?" you ask. He shrugs. "Making space for the angels," he says. You nod, because of course she is. Later, you help your mother. She hangs lavender and hyssop in the corners, rubs vinegar into the walls with torn rags. Above the hearth, she fastens a cross made of rushes. "The spirits follow fire," she tells you. You don't ask which spirits. You don't want to know. Rumours swirl now like ash on the wind, of nuns who vanish into forests, of boys born with red eyes who speak in tongues, of poisoned wells, of cats burned by the hundreds because someone whispered they were demons wrapped in fur. No one knows what's true. Truth is, whatever keeps the torch from turning on you. So you learn to kneel, to echo, to nod when everyone else nods. Even when your knees are bleeding, you are not just a servant, you are the offering. The words begin to live in your skin, like a tattoo you never chose, but now can't remove. At twilight, something shifts. You see your father carve a name into the wood above the door. Slow, careful. Not your name, not his, your brother's, Johann. He doesn't look at you, he just carves, whispering softly. Not Latin, not prayer, just memory chiseled into timber. When he finishes, he touches the name. Once, then spits on the ground. A goodbye, a ritual, a warning all at once. That night, you make your own offering. You don't tell anyone. You take a thread of rosemary, a pinch of ash, a broken piece of bread. You wrap them in cloth, tuck them under your bed. Not because you believe they'll save you, but because you need to believe something might. Even if it's a lie in a holy disguise, you lie down, hands folded like saints on cracked glass. You breathe, slow, deliberate, as if breath itself is prayer and your last thought before sleep. Not food, not safety, not even your brother's name. Just the words that now live inside your ribs. You are not just a servant, you are the offering. And as darkness takes you, you wonder, will that be enough? The war ended, but not for you, not for the streets still cracked like old bone, not for the children who flinch at sudden sound, not for the mothers who now count ghosts at bedtime. You still feel it, beneath your fingernails, in the silence between ambulance sirens, in the breath that catches before you open the clinic door. Peace came, but only on paper. Ash still gathers in alleyways. Dust coats the dreams of every street vendor. And you, still in your worn coat and cracked gloves, step over the wreckage to reach your shift. Morning in post-war stillness. The clinic doesn't open. It unfolds like a shrine, like a wound. You arrive before dawn. The sky above, a bruise of violet and ash. You unlock the rusted door, step over shattered tile, flip the light. It flickers like a soul deciding whether to stay. Your eyes fall on the corner. Blankets folded, a note. I just needed to be somewhere warm. Please don't call the police. My daughter has asthma. I'll come back with medicine money. You fold the note gently. Slip it into your coat pocket. You don't call the police. You call compassion. Your first patient arrives before your gloves are on. A mother, maybe 25. Her eyes, aged by grief. Her child burns with fever, coughing, pale, but it's her silence you diagnose first. Flat, deep, frozen in some night she never left. Her brother was taken, dragged screaming from their apartment. No goodbye, no body, just absence. You give the child your last inhaler. You smile. You're safe here. Just breathe. She doesn't speak. But as she leaves, she mouths a thank you. Silent. Software enough to carry you one more hour. The suture that never holds midday. The generator gives up again. No power, no monitors, no fridge for the blood. Back to what you know. Soap. Gauze. Your hands. He limps in. A man maybe your age, maybe younger. You can't tell anymore. He's bleeding from the ribs. A knife wound. Probably over bread, or politics, or both. You kneel on the floor. The gurney's snapped. The table's in use. Thread, needle, pressure. You whisper as you work. It's okay. You're safe. Just stay with me. This city won't take you today. And when his eyes flutter back open, the lights return. Weak, humming, faithful. Like hope remembering how to walk. Memories in prescription paper. 15 minutes, that's all you steal for yourself. Bitter tea, a cracked thermos. Your back against the peeling paint of a hallway that still smells like antiseptic and ash. In your pocket, a letter from your brother. He made it across the sea. He writes about birdsong, clean linens, gardens where the grass remembers how to grow. He doesn't know you stayed. You never told him. He would have begged you to leave. But who else would answer the knock at midnight? Who else would hold the hand of the old midwife when her lungs gave out, whispering her son's name so she wouldn't die alone? You read his letter again. Fold it carefully. Tuck it close to your chest, not for escape, but as a promise that someday something might grow here, too. The child who broke your heart, open afternoon, dust thick in the air, the sun swings low like a tired watchman. A boy enters, 6 maybe, barefoot, eyes sharp, dragging a bag behind him, wrapped in a torn flag. You kneel. What happened? He opens the bag. Inside, a girl, his sister, 9. Her arm is bent wrong, her ankle twisted. She limps in behind him, lips pale. They say nothing at first. Then he speaks, calm, precise. Our house fell. We were hiding in a school. No food left. You clean her wound, set the bone, tell a joke. It doesn't land, but she smiles anyway. You give them biscuits, 2 lollipops, a warm place to rest. That night, you find them curled on the clinic bench. 1 blanket, heads resting against each other. You don't wake them. You place a warm water bottle by their feet, light a candle in a glass jar, whisper to the ceiling, please let someone be listening. Nightfall, the ghosts who stay. The city sleeps, but you count ghosts, the ones you couldn't save. The baby with no name, the father who bled out with his daughter's drawing in his coat. You write names in your ledger, not for paperwork, not for policy, but for memory, because grief is holy too. Reflection, why you stay. They call you hero, fool, martyr. You laugh when they say it, but only on the inside. You don't stay to be brave. You stay because someone has to. Because medicine isn't machines. It's presence. It's whispering when the world screams. It's holding death by the hand and saying, not this one, not yet. You didn't save the world today, but you kept 1 person breathing, held 1 child's gaze, lit 1 candle. That is enough. That is the revolution. You close the clinic. The sky above is stitched with stars and smoke. The streets sigh with exhausted silence. A baby cries. A rooster crows too early. A kettle whistles in some apartment where someone still believes in tea. And you walk into the dark, not just as a doctor, but as a stitch, holding the torn soul of a nation together, 1 thread at a time. The heat of the day fades, not in a hurry, no. Like a tired sigh exhaled across rooftops and dust. You sit still, listening to the bones of the world creak as it lies down. A cracked clay brazier burns low at your feet. In your hands, a chipped bowl of rice and lentils, still warm. The last meal before silence. The oil lamp flickers beside you, casting long shadows that look like ghosts reaching for the past. Outside, the call to prayer has already surrendered to the night. In its place, the shuffle of sandals on dirt, a mother humming to her baby, the clink of glass as tired men sip tea too thin to matter. But inside you, something else stirs. You move like someone carrying memory in their joints. You undress beneath the curtain, that old red and gold tapestry that barely holds back the eyes of a crowded house. It is not privacy, not really, but it is what you've been given. And in this house, in this life, you learn to be invisible, even while being watched. You crouch beside the copper basin. The water's still warm, kissed by the sun, not the fire. You begin the ritual. Slow, methodical, water on your arms, on your chest, between your thighs. Each drop seems to find a memory, and every memory costs you something. You scrub until your skin stings. But it doesn't wash away the feeling of being touched but never asked, claimed but never known, seen and still unseen. Your body, sacred and stolen. Later, the lamp burns lower, and the women gather. Aunties, cousins, sisters braiding hair, shelling garlic, rocking babies swollen with milk. It looks like softness, but you know better. This is a battlefield dressed as a living room. Beneath every laugh, every lullaby, there are secrets. You listen without moving. One speaks of her husband, how he comes to her every night as if childbirth had never split her apart. Another speaks of a neighbor's daughter, praised for bleeding on her wedding night. Like virginity was proof, not a sacrifice. Then, a voice older than the rest cracks the room open. Men take because they can, she says, and we give because we must. But there are ways to hide what must be hidden. The words float for a moment, then vanish. Someone coughs, someone laughs too loud, but you heard it. A rebellion, small as a pin, sharp as one too. You remember your cousin's wedding. You were 13. She looked like royalty, painted in henna and rosewater, her hands blooming with vines, gold pinned to her brow like a blessing. But that night, you heard her weeping behind a door, and her mother in sitting outside with a blood-stained sheet folded in her lap like a trophy. In the morning, they served halwa, said God has blessed her. You said nothing, but something inside you cracked. Now you lie beside a child, a niece, a sister. You're not even sure anymore. She sleeps, thumb in her mouth, the mattress thin, the night heavy, but you're wide awake, because here, the night pretends to be quiet, but the walls speak. A man coughs 2 houses down. A baby cries somewhere behind a rusted shutter. A scream, maybe, or just a bad dream. You close your eyes and feel everything. The hand that lingered too long at the market. The warning your aunt gave when you were 9. Don't ever be alone with your uncle. The shame of your first blood. And the silence that followed. You exhale slowly. Even your breath has learned to be careful. The building hums with electricity. But your heart, it barely stirs. You move through the hospital's belly like a ghost in a white coat. The operating room behind you, sterile now, echoes faintly with the sounds of a life once in crisis. You've washed your hands a dozen times since the last patient. Still, the blood remains, not on your fingers. Number. It lingers behind your eyes. You are trained to fix the body, to stitch, to suture, to stop what bleeds. But no one taught you what to do when a 9-year-old whispers that her uncle loves her too much. No textbook explained the way a father avoids your gaze while you write internal hemorrhaging due to blunt trauma. The mother sits silent beside him, her hands trembling like reeds in a dry wind. You are the one they call when bruises are explained as discipline, when lacerations are just accidents, when mouths lie, but the eyes scream. You've learned a new language, one that isn't taught, one without words. It lives in cracked lips and flinching shoulders, in eyes that dart, in silences that last too long, in stories rehearsed one time too many. You've become fluent in it, not by choice, but by necessity. At night, you don't dream, you replay. The boy who didn't cry, even as you stitched his arm, even when you whispered, "You're safe now." The woman who bled in silence, saying she deserved it, saying it like a prayer. The teenager with rope burns on her wrists who only asked, "Can you keep a secret?" Yes, you can, you have, you do. You're a vault now, a museum of wounds no one else visits. And sometimes you are the only witness that anyone suffered at all. A knock on your door. She's 16, maybe. She limps in beside her aunt. You see it instantly. The smile, too neat, too practiced. The clothes, trying to hide the swelling. The scarf, high on the neck, too high. You ask gently, where does it hurt? Before she can speak, she fell down the stairs, says the aunt. Of course, you ask to examine her alone. The aunt resists, you press, you win. Behind the curtain, the scarf comes off, and there it is, the bruise, the mark, the truth. You lower your voice. Do you want help? Her eyes flicker. She doesn't answer, but she doesn't stop you either, and that's enough. Later, you fill out forms that will vanish into bureaucracy. You send a report that won't be read. You refer her to a social worker who's already drowning. You do everything the rules say you must. And yet, it feels like drowning in clean water. You want to scream, but instead, you clean your stethoscope, straighten your coat, and move on to the next patient. Some nights, you wonder how many souls you've held in your hands. Not their bodies, their souls. How many left this building feeling seen? How many felt just as invisible walking out as they did walking in? There is no file for that. No diagnosis code for shame swallowed. No billing code for pain that isn't spoken. No metric for how deeply their hurt carves into you. You drive home late. No sirens tonight. No gunshots in the air. No ambulances speeding through red lights. But that doesn't mean peace. It just means the horrors are asleep. For now, you sit in the car, engine running, your hands on the wheel, clean, steady, but you can feel what they carry. Stories that never had a listener, wounds that never had a name. And you whisper it, just once, into the dark. I can't do this forever. But you know you will, because there is no one else. And because someone has to carry the silence. You are the keeper of the untold, the witness, the healer, the burdened. But even in your quiet, even in your restraint, even in all the things you do not say, you offer something divine. You give them back dignity. To the girl that no one believed, to the boy no one held, to the woman no one asked, did he hurt you? You see them, even when the world does not, even when they can't bear to see themselves. Long pause, and tomorrow you'll come back. Because healing isn't just stitches and bandages. Sometimes it's one quiet soul holding the unbearable for someone who can't. And that, too, is medicine. You sit cross-legged in the courtyard, where the shadows feel thick like velvet, and the air smells of charcoal and rain-soaked earth. You grind dried turmeric and burnt sandalwood into a fine powder, just as your grandmother once taught you. Back when her mouth still moved, back before the village whisperers silenced her, said she knew too much. That she had the wrong herbs, the wrong gaze, the wrong kind of silence, but her bones still speak, and you've heard them. You remember the way she hummed, low, like wind through reeds, as she traced neem oil across an old woman's belly, as if her hands were reading scripture. Not words, gesture, breath, heat. She never taught you with language. She passed it through skin. Now, that heat, that quiet knowing, simmers in your chest. It's dusk. The sky tears itself in two. Amber to the west, indigo to the east. Two colors of the same wound. You rise, you walk toward the grove, barefoot. The ground is wet, but not with water, with memory. Each step carries a scar. The night your sister bled, and no one told her why. The day your friend was married and never came back. The morning you were accused of knowing too much, too early, too hungrily. You reach the banyan tree. Its thick roots curl like knuckles in the dirt. A rope still dangles from its limb. Once, your great-aunt hung her dyed silks there. Then the village hung her cat. Then nothing. Only birds now. And ghosts. You sit in silence. You pour the powdered paste into a clay bowl. You mix it with well water from behind the ruined temple, where women no longer go. They say it tastes like ash. You dip your left forefinger, circle your ankle, then your neck, then your navel. You chant softly. The words are bitter, untranslated, inherited, but they come anyway. And you let them. Back in your hut, your mother waits. She says nothing. No questions, no scolding. Only a folded cloth, pressed gently into your hand. Inside, your grandmother's hairpin, obsidian black, carved like a fox's tooth. You touch it like relic, like prayer. Your mother kneels by the fire. She begins to hum. You recognize the tune, the same one your grandmother sang the day the rice turns black in the field, so you don't cry. Instead, you light a small lamp. Set it on the floor. Draw a thin line of ash between it and the door. Tonight, no man may cross that threshold. Outside, the sky has thickened, the kind of dark that carries old teeth and older secrets. You retrieve the scroll hidden beneath your bedding. Its script is dead, forgotten, except in the hills, where the women remember. You run your fingers over the ink, and it glows faintly. It hums. You whisper its words aloud. Your mouth doesn't burn. That's how you know you belong. Midnight. The fire flickers. You take a needle, prick your thumb. One drop onto the scroll. The ink swirls, then stills. And there, a shape forms. A woman, barefoot, bald. A bird skull hangs from her neck. She's not your grandmother. But she carries her voice. She speaks. You will be called soon. When the moon is lowest, when the dogs begin to bark toward the river, when the widows turn their mirrors to the wall, you blink, she is gone. The scroll blank again, but you are not. Morning comes, no bird song, only the hiss of wind between roof slats. The village stirs uneasy. A goat is found with no tongue. A potter's wife swears she saw a shadow slither into the well. You pour water for your brother. Bless it with a whisper. Your mother recites a line, half remembered, half warning. A woman who forgets the old ways will forget her own name. You whisper that into the cloth at your waist. Knot it tight. At the edge of the field, the priest watches you. His eyes do not blink. He remembers your grandmother's fire, remembers how her prayers bent rice stalks, made frogs fall from cloudless skies. But he says nothing. He knows better. Last time he spoke against her, his wife went mute for 3 days. His cows birthed twisted calves. You walk past him, head down, heart steady. Inside, memory stirs. Not rage, not pride, something older, something coiled, black, sleeping beneath warm stone. That evening, she comes, the village girl who lost her child months ago. She says nothing, she kneels. You place your palms on her crown. You don't chant, you breathe, you remember your grandmother's voice again. Silence is sometimes the loudest spell. The girl begins to weep, not from grief, from relief. Her breath steadies, her shoulders still. When she leaves, you burn clove. Mark the threshold with saffron paste. You feel your grandmother's smile in the tremble of the flame. That night, you dream of a river that flows backward. Women bathe in its current, but none have faces. One of them hands you a mask. It's made of bark and feathers and shards of broken glass. You place it on. You wake, weeping red. You don't clean it. You let it dry on your skin. Like paint, like warning, like war. Now the wind carries song. Not a hymn, not prayer, a warning. The kind women sang when crops were about to rot. You hum it back, your voice, not pretty but ancient, it carries dust and truth. You step outside, the moon hangs low, red as fresh meat. Dogs begin to howl. The river hums, and in the hills 3 widows turn their mirrors to the wall. It is time. Your grandmother's bones are stirring, and now you will answer. You walk into the hospital, but today something follows you in. It's not your shadow. It's the night before. The child with lungs full of dust. The old woman whose eyes never blinked again after you wiped the sweat from her brow. You press the elevator button with a finger that trembles, only slightly. Trained well, no one notices. They see the coat, not the unravelling beneath it. The doors slide open, fluorescent light spills out, cold, merciless. Healing here is done under bulbs, not under mercy. The hospital doesn't sleep, but you do, in broken fragments, in the backs of your eyes between the seconds it takes to wash your hands. Today is no different, but you are. You step into the pediatric ward. You greet a father with the warmest smile you can manage. His son, barely 8, survived a bombing, but not the loss of his leg. The boy doesn't cry anymore. He just stares. You make balloon animals from latex gloves. You draw cartoons on gauze. You hold his shoulder when the dressing is changed. He looks at you, not as a doctor, not as a man, but as someone who might still know where hope lives. You want to believe him. You're called to the ER 15-year-old boy, shrapnel in the abdomen. His brother carried him in. You press down hard on the bleeding. You shout for clamps, for suction, adrenaline. The room fills with noise, urgency, alarms, sweat. You cut, you stitch, you close. You don't say it, but you're not sure he'll make it. Still, you look his brother in the eye. He's strong, you say. Keep praying. Because when science runs out, what else do you have? At lunch, you sit with your back to the wall. It's habit now. Cafeteria, courtyard, home, always the wall. A nurse jokes, says you're paranoid. You laugh. You don't explain. You don't say, I once saw someone walk into a mosque and never come out. You don't say, last time I sat facing the window, I counted all of the exits. Later, the oncology wing. The chemo drip hums, a lullaby of poison. One of your favorites, a girl with sunburnt cheeks, clutches your fingers as you check her vitals. She's been drawing again. Today, it's a stick figure. Big smile. Labeled Dr. H. You want to cry, you want to scream. You want to tear the sky open and ask why children pay for the sins of men. But you don't. You nod. You whisper, this is beautiful. And you mean it. Because even in death's shadow, she sees you as someone worth drawing. Evening, a mother walks in. Her child coughing. She fears tuberculosis. You run tests, you listen. Not just to lungs, to fear. In her eyes, worry for her child, for food, for shelter, for the next shell to fall. You give her medicine, but you know what she needs is peace, and you can't prescribe peace. Later, you change your scrubs. You wipe your face. You look in the mirror, but not really. You see a man with swollen eyes, tired veins, hands that have stitched bodies and broken inside doing it. You touch your stethoscope, like a relic, like a cross. Then your phone buzzes. Another call, another emergency, and you go. Because here, you are soldier and healer, weaponless and weary. Flashback, your first year. You were eager, arrogant even. You thought textbooks and adrenaline could fix anything. But no one taught you how to hold the hand of a dying man who had no one else. No one taught you how to say she's gone in a voice softer than grief. Now, your voice knows how to break without making a sound. That night, a father arrives, burns across both arms. He tried to save his daughter from a fire sparked by a faulty generator. You clean him, bandage him, listen. He says, I failed her. You say you didn't. You don't know if it's true, but you say it anyway, because sometimes a lie is kinder than silence. And for one breath, he believes you. And that is enough. In the corridor, you pass another doctor. He nods, you nod, nothing more. Because here, silence is the language of survival. Everyone carries something they've buried too deep to name. Before shifts end, you check ICU. Lights dim, machines whisper. You stop beside a woman on life support, a school teacher, bombed mid-lesson, right after writing the alphabet on the board. You check the monitors, no change. Still, you whisper her name, because sometimes the body doesn't hear, but the soul might. You go home, one room, dust in corners, smell of detergent and old coffee. You remove your shoes like it's a ritual, like stepping out of a temple. You sit, you breathe, you stare, you let the tears fall, quiet, slow, controlled. Not because you are weak, but because you are full of every person who died in your hands, of mothers who clutched you like a final prayer, of children who called you hero when you felt like a ghost. And still, you wake up. You put the white coat back on. You walk into the fire again, because someone has to. And maybe, just maybe, that someone is still you. You're not the same person anymore. Not after what you've seen, what you've felt. The smallness of your body has grown heavy, full of memory, and the weight of it lives in your bones. They tried to bend you, tried to shape you, tried to erase who you were, but something inside you refuses to die, a fire, low and stubborn, still breathing in the ashes. You are no one, and yet too much. You wake up with the taste of copper on your tongue. A slave again, a concubine again, a ghost in someone else's palace. The same pattern on the sheets, the same jade bangles on your wrist, the same hands at your side. But something is different. The air, the silence, it feels swollen, pregnant with something dangerous. Not peace, not safety, but change. You've learned not to flinch at footsteps. You've learned how to wear a smile, like lacquer over wounds. You've trained yourself to listen to the wind. And tonight, it howls. Not like weather, like war, the fire beneath their bedsheets. You're not alone. Across the empire, in brothels dressed as tea-houses, in palaces where concubines smile like silk-covered knives, in mountain shrines where forgotten wives whisper to gods with no names. A heat is building. No banners, no armies, just women. Just the quiet realization that their bodies, though bought, though bruised, still belong to something sacred. They look at you differently now. The courtesan who sneaks you extra rice. The midwife who leaves herbs for strength near your door. The eunuch who teaches you how to read by candlelight. None of them say it, but they don't have to. The empire doesn't see this war, but it's already burning. A knife hidden in the fan. You've hidden a blade, not a metal one, not yet. Yours is the kind of sharpness that lives in silence, in ideas, in knowing. The magistrate who bruised your ribs last spring. You saw the flicker of shame in his eyes when he looked away. The noble woman who sneers when you pass. You hear the tremble in her voice when she talks about disobedient girls. They fear what they cannot fully own. And fear is a kind of power. You start to walk differently, like someone who holds to a secret key. You speak less, but every word tastes of self-worth. You've become dangerous. A storm in the courtyard. It begins small, as all revolutions do. A missing scroll, a name whispered too loudly, a love that steps past its limits. Then the quiet girl, the one who embroidered phoenixes on every robe, disappears. Then the kitchen burns. Then a soldier is found floating face down in the lotus pond. They call it bad luck, but you know better. This is not chaos, it's consequence. The memory of your mother. You see her now. Not in dreams, but in every moment you reach for strength. Her fingers combing your hair. Her lullabies. Her eyes always searching the sky, as if warning you of something still coming. She tried to make your fire small, tried to protect you with stories that softened the truth. But now you see her clearly. She wasn't just tender. She was steel beneath silk. Maybe she knew. Maybe she was trying to plant something that could survive long after she was gone. You remember the story of the tiger bride, who devoured her groom and walked free. And you smile, because maybe you are her daughter after all. Power without permission. There's no throne, no coronation, no chorus singing your name, but you feel it. You are not anyone's object now, not anyone's toy, not anyone's property. You've taken something back, something holy, something primal. And though the chains still jingle when you move, you know now they're brittle. If not tonight, then soon they will break, because the fire is no longer just yours. It spreads, in touch of kindness. In all this rage, you did not expect tenderness to survive, but it does. One night, when the air is thick with blood and silence, he comes, not to take, but to sit. He doesn't look at your body. He looks into your name and asks for it gently. And when you say it, it tastes like truth, like reclaiming, like prayer. He doesn't reach for your thigh. He listens to your heartbeat instead. Not all men here are monsters. Some were broken too, silenced too, and in that moment, you both are human again, just human. The choice you weren't supposed to have. They never planned for this, for you to choose. But now, here it is. The choice sits in your hands like a sword. Sharp, heavy, final. You could run, disappear, melt into the mountains. Let history forget your name. Or you could stay. You could burn this place down and write your name in its ashes. You look in the mirror, not to check your beauty, but to see if the girl they buried is still there. And she is. Only now she has claws, she has fury, she has purpose. Epilogue of this night. The moon is full, high and watching, the symbol of blood, of cycles, of women. You light a final candle, not out of fear, but because you want to see your face before everything changes. This body, once sold and torn, now holds something sacred, something eternal. And you are no longer a secret, no longer anyone's shame, no longer someone's shadow. You are a story they will fear to tell, but they will never forget. The sun is low now. That golden honeyed light, the kind that makes everything look like memory, spills through the hospital blinds in soft slanted bars. The air is quieter, not silent, just hushed, like a room holding its breath. Somewhere, behind a curtain, someone is weeping. A nurse hums quietly as she resets a vitals monitor. Even the machines beep differently at this hour, softer somehow, like they too are tired. You've taken off your white coat. folded it carefully over the chair like it's a part of you you can finally set down. You rinse your face in the staff washroom. The water is cool, but it can't wash off the ache in your shoulders, the grit in your soul, or the silence that clings to your skin like dust. Then, floating above the rooftops, the azan. Not loud, not sharp, just ancient. A call rising from a minaret, like a sigh from the chest of God. A voice older than hospitals, older than grief, older than you. You don't pray, not tonight, but you pause, to breathe, to remember you're still alive. The ritual of leaving your bag feels heavier now. Not because of the tools or the papers, but because of everything it can't carry. Inside, a crumpled protein bar, a blood-smeared pen, a notebook full of half-legible notes, but also a child's drawing, handed to you with shaking fingers. A whispered thank you from a father who thought he'd be digging a grave today. The grief of a young woman who lost her baby, alone, in curtain 6. There's no pocket for that, no locker, so you carry it in your chest every day, every night. Walking the corridor backward. You walk the same hallway now that you ran down just hours ago. It feels longer. Each step like a stone in your shoe. You pass the ICU. Red light blinking. The same mother still sitting by the vent, still praying with her whole body. You want to stop. Say something, anything. But if you stop, you'll break, so you keep walking. Past the admin desk, where the intern is asleep with a clipboard under his cheek. Past the janitor mopping blood off the floor, like it's any other spill, like it's just juice or coffee. You press the elevator button. It doesn't come. So you take the stairs. Each floor down feels like dropping into yourself, into a silence no stethoscope can hear. Outside, the city in a new light night here is different. It smells like jasmine and diesel. Old smoke, bread, rain on concrete. The city doesn't sleep. It shifts. Street vendors shout. Children chase rags shaped like footballs. Old men argue about politics beside flickering neon lights. You look up. The sky stretches wide, like the top of a prayer rug pulled over the earth. A single star shines through, piercing the dusk like a memory. A man offers you tea. You smile, say no. But the gesture, that simple kindness, stays with you. A flicker of warmth in a world growing cold. Home, a place between two worlds. Your apartment is close, but it feels far. Galaxies far. The lock sticks. It always does. You jiggle it twice, push hard. Inside, quiet, dimness, the hum of the fridge, the tick of the fan. You don't turn on the TV. You don't check your phone. You just sit on the edge of your bed, shoes still on, breath shallow. You let the day catch up to you. Like film on loop, it plays behind your eyes. The blue lips of a toddler. The flat line on a monitor. The smile of a cancer patient saying, "Shukran, doctor," with the last of her strength. And the boy you couldn't save. How your hands shook afterward. The body speaks you undress slowly. Each layer peels off like bark from a tired tree. Your feet, blistered. Your back, a battlefield. Your fingers, trembling with memory. You soak them in warm water. Blood and dirt unfurl into flowers. Tiny, tragic petals. You lie down. But sleep doesn't come easy. It never does. Because your body is home now. But your soul is still somewhere between Curtain 6 and Trauma Bay 2. The things you don't say. You think about calling someone. Your mother, your brother, that old friend who messaged 3 weeks ago. But what would you say? That you watched a grown man beg for his wife's life like a child? That you told a 10-year-old she would never walk again? That you don't know if you can keep doing this? Number, dare you stay silent? Let the room hold you. Let the old photo on your nightstand whisper its memories. Let the Quran on the shelf, frayed and familiar, sit like an unopened letter. Let the fan hum lullabies in a language you can't quite understand. The last thought before sleep. You close your eyes, not to escape, just to pause. And in that pause, you see her, not a ghost, not a goddess, just a little girl, still hooked to the fourth, eyes too big for her face. She looked at you and said, "You're the nice doctor, aren't you?" And something in you, something cold and armored, cracked. It didn't break, but it softened, just for a moment. And that moment, that's what follows you into sleep. Not the paperwork, not the screaming, not the death, but her voice, because it reminds you, even here, even now, you are still needed, you are still human. And sleep comes softly. You don't remember the exact moment, just the drifting, like falling backwards into water. No more alarms, no more codes, no more names written in red ink. In your dream, you're running again, but this time not toward death. This time it's morning, and the sky is blue, and someone, somewhere, is laughing. It won't last. But for now, for these few fragile hours, you rest, you breathe, you disappear. The world has gone quiet. The last call to prayer has faded into velvet. The streets no longer scream. Even the city, bruised, blistered, breathless, has softened into a hush. The corridors behind you, once so loud with grief and command and beeping machines, now only hold one sound, the rhythm of rest. And you finally sit. Your back bends into the chair like paper, curling under a candle's heat. Your spine, a reed that sung through a storm. Your hands, the same hands that held a newborn's chest to keep it beating, the same hands that closed a father's eyes, tremble now, quietly, alone. You undo the buttons of your coat, 1, 2. Each one is a door, and behind each door, a sorrow you didn't have time to feel. A silence you can hear. Tonight isn't just night. It's a mirror, a reckoning, a weight. You think of the boy with shrapnel in his leg, the way he wouldn't let go of his sister's crayon drawing while you stitched him up. You hear the mother's voice again. "Just save my daughter. Don't worry about me." You hear it like an echo you'll never outrun. You remember the man who died not from his injuries, but from waiting too long. The ambulance was late, too late. These stories, they don't sit in your brain. They live in your breath, in your shoulder joints, in the deep ache behind your knees. Your silence remembers them, even when your voice forgets. Your small apartment, your fragile world. The keys rattle in your hand like bones or prayer beads. The door opens to the smell of old books and boiled tea. A single bulb hums above the sink. The fridge carries one magnet, a child's drawing of you, stick figure, white coat, a big red heart, and a cape. You drop your bag like it weighs more than you do. You sit on the bed's edge, shoes still on, shoulders folded in. Your phone buzzes, not a call, just a message. "Thanks for staying with my father till the end. May God give you strength. You were his angel." You stare at the words, not with pride, but with the aching softness of someone who's held in an ocean for too long. And then finally you let go. One tear, not of sorrow, not only. A tear made of layers, Grief, fatigue, purpose, relief, disbelief, and something deeper. The ritual of night. You wash your face like it's a ceremony. Like the day can be rinsed away. You brush your teeth with the same hands that held death and told it no. You sip water, not because you're thirsty, but because you forgot you were human. You sit again. And though your mouth doesn't move, you pray, not in Arabic, not in English, just in breath. Ya Allah, let me wake up whole tomorrow. Not perfect, just whole. What happens to the healer? Nobody asks. They see the coat, the clipboard, the calm face, but they don't see the weight behind your eyes. Or how every word of comfort costs a piece of your own peace. They forget, or maybe never knew, that healers also bleed. Not from wounds, from holding too many of them. You carry stories you never tell. You carry pain that isn't yours, but somehow is. You carry people, and no one asks, "Are you okay?" You're not really, but you show up anyway. Because it's not about being okay. It's about not letting others fall, just because you did. What did you lose? Sleep, birthdays, weddings, anniversaries. You buried people you couldn't save, and with them, pieces of yourself. Your knees hurt now. Your fingers are always cold. Your laugh, it's quieter, but you also gained something. You gained depth. You gained a sacred respect for breath. How miraculous it is that lungs just work. You gained strangers who love you, even if they never knew your name. You became a myth, a memory, a prayer on someone else's lips. You became legend, quietly, invisibly. What happens tomorrow? The alarm will ring, you'll get up. Put the coat on again. Enter that battlefield, hold new hands, but maybe, just maybe, you'll sit for 5 minutes longer. You'll breathe a little slower. You'll remember tonight. And tonight will whisper, you mattered. You're more than what you fix. You are the lifeline. Reflection and CTA. For those who listen, if you're hearing this and you know someone who heals, a doctor, a nurse, a paramedic, a caregiver, a soul who gives more than they have, tell them this, a thank you. Not because they saved your loved one, but because they became the person no one else had the strength to be. And if you are that person, if you are the one who walks into fire so others don't burn, stitches what the world tears apart, smiles while quietly unraveling, holds the line when no one else can, then hear this. You were never invisible. You were never weak. You were never just a job title. You were the lifeline. And even in your exhaustion, in your quiet grief, in your late dinners and lost weekends, you changed the world. Not with magic, but with your heartbeat.